trying to disrespect and saying shit. You know, it's definitely real. It's 100% real. I'm going in there, I'm trying to break his face. I'm not lying about that at all. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So after the fight is after the fight. Right now, you already know what time it is. It's time to go.
David Benavidez promises to bring war against David Morrell, as he said he's gonna break Morrell's face in their upcoming clash. However, Eddie Hearn praised David Benavidez for taking on the challenge of fighting David Morrell, despite Morrell being highly rated by many. Hearn acknowledged that Benavidez doesn't need to fight Morrell, but he respects that Benavidez is confident enough to take the fight and prove himself. He believes Benavidez's willingness to face Morrell shows true courage and dedication to giving fans great fights, despite the hype around him. Hearn hopes more fighters will follow Benavidez's lead and embrace tough challenges.
Listen, I'll give massive props to Benavidez because I've rated Morrell very highly for a long time. In Los Angeles, I got to watch him up close, and I really wasn't impressed with what I saw, but I just think he had an off night. He's a very good fighter, and Benavidez really doesn't need to be taking that fight, but he is. So listen, big respect to David Benavidez. That's a great fight, and we want to see great fights. I hope there's more fighters like David Benavidez that said, no, I'll back myself. I don't give a f about Morrell. I know everyone rates him and he's this Cuban killer. I'll beat him. Get me in with him. Fair play. Well done, David Benavidez.
Fraser Clark is excited about the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell, calling it a thrilling matchup he'd love to see live. He hasn't started his own training camp yet, but is considering attending the fight. Clark mentioned that every time he watches Benavidez, he becomes more impressed with his skills. He also heard from someone who trained with Benavidez a few years ago, who described him as a standout talent. While Clark recognizes both fighters are very skilled, he's leaning toward Benavidez to win.
I think it's a rocket of a fight, that is, it's one of them. I wish I could go watch that live, because I think that's going to be a good tear up, And, saying that, we're still in January, I'm not going into camp yet. I might have to make an appearance for that one. That's going to be a bolter. I think Benavidez, just because every time I watch him, I get more impressed with him. Do you know what I mean? And then I spoke to someone who was in the gym with him a few years ago and just said he's just a different animal. But saying that, again, these 50-50 fights, they're so hard to call, do you know what I mean? But I'm going to go with Benavidez.
Carl Frampton praised the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell, calling it a great matchup and emphasizing how exciting it is for boxing. He mentioned how boxing is in a great place right now with such high-level fights happening. Frampton also expressed his strong belief in Benavidez, saying it's hard to look past him as the favorite in this fight.
Great fight as well, really, really good fight. It's great to see this, isn't it? I mean, boxing's flying at the minute, but I really, really rate Benavidez. Hard to look past him, that one for me.
Darren Barker highlighted that David Morrell has a lot to prove after his recent performance. He believes that if Morrell is going to bring his best, it's against Benavidez. Barker called the fight a great matchup between two of the best up-and-coming fighters, both with the potential to become major stars in boxing. He added that there's a lot at stake, and the fight has all the makings of a classic.
Morrell's really got points to prove. Didn't look good in LA, did he? But this is if you're ever gonna bring your A game to a fight, it's against Benavidez. It really is. It's a cracker. It's a cracker. It's a fantastic fight. Two of the best upcoming fighters, I think you could say, two fighters that could be making a case for them being one of the big stars, one of the big faces of boxing this year, next year, and for a few years to come. So an awful lot on the line, a big responsibility on both of their shoulders, but stylistically I think this gels, and it won't take long for this to really catch fire and be a classic.
Shane McGuigan expressed his admiration for David Morrell, calling him brilliant and recognizing that he stepped up quickly in his career. However, he pointed out that Benavidez is a tough opponent who fights at a fast pace, throws combinations, and is relentless. McGuigan believes Benavidez's style will overpower Morrell, suffocating him despite potentially being hit in the early rounds. McGuigan added that there's a bit more dog in Benavidez, which could give him the edge in the fight.
I'm a massive fan of Morrell. I think he's brilliant. What's his acid test? I know he stepped up very, very quickly. But Benavidez is someone that fights at pace, throws combinations, is in your face, can take a shot, he can dig. That slick Cuban style, like, he's going to suffocate that. He's going to suffocate him. Whether it'll be, he'll get pinged about for a few rounds, but I think he'll prevail and get to him. But I'm excited about it. I just think maybe there's a bit more dog in Benavidez.
Mark Ramsey stated that the fight between Benavidez and Morrell is hard to predict. While Benavidez' strengths are clear, like his physical power and speed, Morrell has yet to face someone of Benavidez' caliber. Ramsey is curious to see how Morrell handles pressure and whether he can perform under it, making the fight very interesting.
It's a real good fight. It's a real good fight. It's a hard fight to predict because we don't know yet how good is Morrell exactly. I think we have a very clear idea who's Benavidez. He's physically strong, he can be fast, he have tendency to gas out in the second part of the fight. Like we know we have a big picture of who he is. In terms of Morrell, I think a lot of things that we need to know, like under pressure, never fight a guy's the quality of Benavidez yet, and we will see if he crack under pressure or if he still can fight. This is very, very interesting fight.
However, David Benavidez made it clear that he's fully committed to his upcoming fight with David Morrell. He expressed intense confidence, saying that if anyone thinks they can beat him, they've got a problem. Benavidez acknowledged Morrell's trash talk and said it only fuels his determination, promising to go in and break Morrell's face without holding back. He made it clear that he's ready for a full-on war once the fight begins.
It's real, bro. Honestly, if anybody thinks that they can beat me, then we got beef. It's you, whoever's on your team, because that's how it is. At the end of the day, we're in a fight anyways. So for David Morrell, he's talking all that shit, saying he can do that. That excels the flame even more. You know what I mean? And especially him trying to disrespect me, saying, it's definitely real. It's 100% real. I'm going in, I'm trying to break his face. I'm not lying about that at all. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So after the fight is after the fight. Right now, you already know what time it is. It's time to go.
David Benavidez said that every fighter is really fighting for respect, not just titles or money. He pointed out that whether you're Canelo Alvarez or anyone else, the goal is always to earn respect. People always have opinions about you, and that's what pushes fighters to prove themselves. For Benavidez, gaining respect is what truly matters and keeps him motivated in his career.
That shit saying he can do that. That excels the flame even more. You know what I mean? And especially him trying to disrespect me, saying, it's definitely real. It's 100% real. I'm going in, I'm trying to break his face. I'm not lying about that at all. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So after the fight is after the fight. Right now, you already know what time it is. It's time to go to war.
I like to analyze men and the way we think the psychology of boxing, right? I feel like from the beginning, as you say, you were a kid. People, he's never gonna be nothing. Are you still fighting for respect even now?
Yeah, that's always the main. Everybody's always fighting for respect.
Benavidez lastly said he has a lot of advantages that people don't always give him credit for. He believes his defense is great. He knows how to work the ring, throw combinations, and land punches. He feels he's an all-around better fighter than David Morrell and is ready to prove it. Benavidez also mentioned that when people underestimate him, calling him slow or robotic, it motivates him even more. He enjoys proving people wrong and beating opponents who doubt him.
What advantages do you have over David Morrell going into this fight?
I have a lot of advantages. I think a lot of people don't give me credit on everything I know how to do. I got good defense.
The little things.
I got great defense. I know how to work the round. I know how to throw combinations. I know how to throw punches. Like I can do everything. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, I'm an all-around better fighter than David Morrell, and this is what I'm going to prove.
You feel he's overconfident? Like, you're slow, your feet are slow, RoboCop, and you can't move in there?
That makes me happy when I beat somebody's ass that's overconfident. I like to beat ass that's not scared.
Moreover, Joe Gallagher acknowledged that David Morrell is a very good fighter with solid Cuban boxing skills and punching power. While he respects Morrell's abilities, he believes that Benavidez's speed, experience, and the big occasion will likely give him the edge in the fight. Gallagher emphasized that Morrell is a strong challenge, but Benavidez's overall advantages could be the deciding factors.
Morrell's a very good fighter. He's been around a very long time. Not had many fights, but come through well. Good Cuban, good puncher, and Benavidez, and that's a good test for Benavidez. And for Morrell, you're seeing he isn't in awe of Benavidez. Morrell, he's a very good fighter, good puncher, but I just think Benavidez' speed of hand and the occasion and that experience most probably give him the upper hand in that fight.
Dave Coldwell called the fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell a potential under-the-radar classic. He recommended fans check out Morrell's fights on YouTube, calling him an incredibly talented fighter. Coldwell also pointed out that both fighters have had their best performances at super middleweight, with Morrell showing exceptional skill in the division. However, Coldwell noted that Morrell's performance in his light heavyweight bout didn't seem as strong. He admitted he wasn't sure who would win the fight right now, as it's hard to predict given the new weight division, but he's excited to see it unfold.
That's a fight that's going to probably in danger of going under the radar, but what a good fight. If you don't know who David Morrell is, go and watch him on YouTube. Very, very good fight. Having said that, both fighters, for me, the best performance has been at super middleweight. Morrell at super middleweight, unbelievable talent. His fighter, I think, he had just had one fight at light heavy, and he was like, okay, not the same man. So, I don't know, but Morrell's a talent. Benavidez is very, very good, unbelievable fighter. That's just a really good fight. I can't wait. I can't wait to see that fight. Who do I think wins it? Right now, I don't know. Because it's the new weight division. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch a bit more footage of them both.
LRB shared his enthusiasm for the upcoming clash between David Benavidez and David Morrell, calling it a thrilling, evenly matched contest. He anticipates a high-energy fight with both fighters likely to hit the canvas at some point, maybe even early, and each facing moments of vulnerability. LRB pointed out that the fight will be a back-and-forth battle, with both men eager to prove themselves and secure a win. With all the trash talk leading up to it, he believes the real winners will be the fans.
50-50 kind of fight. I expect that somebody's going to hit the canvas, and it probably might be early, and the other person might get hurt in the fight. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs, ebbs and flows in this particular fight because both guys really, really want it bad, and want to make a big statement. It's going to be a lot of trash talking with the build-up. So this is one of those kind of fights that the fans will actually win with this.
Tim Bradley, on the other hand, expressed concerns about Morrell's lack of experience, noting that he was disappointed by Morrell's recent performance. Bradley feels Benavidez holds the advantage, not just with his aggressive style, but also with his ability to box and move when needed. He believes Morrell will struggle against Benavidez's well-rounded skills, with the former champion's versatility proving to be a tough challenge.
I think that these guys, Morrell, I still think Morrell still needs a little bit more seasoning, to be honest with you. I wasn't too fond of his last fight.
Part of why
I really was.
Benavidez. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't too fond. Benavidez can do a little bit of everything. We only see him as being a pressure type of assassin type of guy, throwing quick combinations and really, just stepping on the gas and squashing guys. But, he can move and box if he wants to as well. He can. I've seen him. So he has that degree. So he can do a little bit of everything in there, which makes me believe that Morrell's gonna struggle against that, man. Morrell, he likes guys that are pretty much stationary, man, in my opinion.
Caleb Plant spoke about the fight between Benavidez and Morrell, pointing out how their differing fighting styles add to the excitement. Plant said Benavidez is aggressive and strong with his combinations. Morrell, on the other hand, is skilled but more elusive and strategic. He recognized the unique strengths both fighters bring to the table, making the fight a must-watch. Plant expressed his anticipation to see how everything unfolds in the ring.
Oh, David Morrell and David Benavidez?
Yeah, what do you think about that
that's
fight?
A big fight. Their styles are different. Southpaw, right-handed, one puts their punches together very well. And so does David Morrell, but he's a little more crafty. He's a little more maybe passive in his approach. I'll say that. And but that's a big fight. That's one I'm excited for. So.
Robert Garcia recently shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell, calling it a must-watch for fans. He emphasized that this is the type of matchup people crave in boxing. Garcia highlighted that both fighters are stepping up in weight to pursue bigger opportunities, and this fight is just what boxing needs at the moment. He pointed out that lighter weight classes like 115 and 118 pounds lack star power, making this showdown between two strong fighters at a higher weight essential for the sport.
How does that fight go?
It's gonna be sick.
See, those are the fights that need to happen, man. Those are the fights that the world wants to see. You know, I was talking about that about Bam, but there's no big names for Bam at 115. 118, maybe a couple. 122, maybe one day, 3 years from now. But Benavidez, you know, and Morrell, they both move up to a division where they're chasing the big fights, and now they're fighting each other. That's man. That's gonna be a sick ass fight. Can't wait for that one.
Garcia also discussed how the fight might play out, acknowledging it's hard to predict a winner. Both Benavidez and Morrell are known for their power and aggression, which makes the matchup so thrilling. While he respects Morrell, Garcia favors Benavidez to come out on top. However, he believes the fight will demonstrate that boxing needs to feature the best and biggest matchups, no matter the outcome.
Both they're gonna put up a badass fight, right? I don't know, man. It's a hard pick, but I'm going with Benavidez definitely.
Mexico.
Definitely have to go with Benavidez, but it'll be a badass fight.
Yeah.
See, they're showing everybody else, you know, that fights could, you know, they need to happen. We need to see them.
Lonnie B recently shared his perspective on the upcoming fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell, acknowledging that it will be a tough challenge for Benavidez. He praised Morrell for his skill set, describing him as a big, smooth fighter with a dangerous Cuban style. Lonnie B emphasized Morrell's excellent footwork and ability to both punch and move, making him a tricky opponent for the powerful Benavidez.
Tough fight. David Morrell is really good. He's really, really good. Yeah, he's good. I can't even. He's good. You know?
You kind of giving me a face like you don't know who wins that fight.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh.
Because David Morrell is big too. He's big for super middleweight too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's big. He can punch. He's slick. Real got that Cuban style. What he Cuban?
Yeah.
Like real slick.
But offensive with it.
Offensive with it, and those styles are tough for anybody to fight. Even
the Mexican monster?
Even the Mexican monster.
Lonnie B also pointed out that Morrell's ability to avoid taking hits while landing clean punches creates challenges for Benavidez. He noted the difference in their fighting styles, with Benavidez relying on his size and strength to wear opponents down, but lacking the slickness and elusiveness that Morrell possesses. Lonnie B believes Benavidez's usual approach may not be as effective against Morrell, who can counterpunch and move well. In the end, Lonnie B considers this a 50-50 fight.
Especially with Dave, with that style he got, David's really not slick. He just uses his size to wear guys down. He's like you walk him down and he's so big, you hitting him, but you really can't get him good because he's too big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With David Morrell, he would really have to worry about some heat coming back being thrown at him, and David Morrell got real good feet. He got real good feet, so I think that would give David some trouble, and he can punch.
So would you favor David or Canelo in that sense? Oh, and I mean David as in Benavidez? No.
It's a 50-50 fight. David Morrell and David Benavidez is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion.
Demetrius Andrade shared his thoughts on David Morrell, admitting that he hasn't seen enough of Morrell's fights to make a full assessment of his ability. While recognizing Morrell's size and decent speed, Andrade noted that Morrell tends to throw wild punches, something he believes will improve as Morrell gains more experience. Andrade emphasized that for Morrell to succeed at the highest level, he needs to tighten up his technique and refine his overall skills.
It's tough because I haven't really watched David Morrell fight by fight. I don't, you know, to really see what he has. I seen maybe like one or two of his fights. I was like, okay, he's a big kid. He got some decent speed, but he's a little wild with his punches. You know, that comes with experience, of course, when he'll start tightening it up. Is he tight right now to be able, because David does have a good...
Jesse Hart pointed out some weaknesses in David Morrell's performance during his last fight, specifically his tendency to slow down after the 9th round. Hart mentioned that Morrell could be vulnerable to getting caught if an opponent lands a clean shot at the right time. He also expressed concerns about Morrell's habits outside the ring and whether they could impact his performance. Hart is closely watching Morrell's development and believes David Benavidez might be able to take advantage of these weaknesses in their upcoming fight.
Dave Morrell, I'm looking, has he grown? Can we get him? That last fight, I seen a lot of weaknesses in him, a lot of weaknesses. I'm looking at have he grown from that fight that he went 12 rounds for the first time in his ever career. You know what I mean? Around the 9th, I seen he start slowing down. I seen you can touch him on it. You can clip him if you get him at the right time. He slows down around about the 9th round. And David Benavidez, his living habits outside the ring, did that catch up to him? I'm watching for all that. and I'll be looking February 1st to see if my, you know, my prediction is right.
Paulie Malignaggi argued that while Canelo Alvarez dominates the financial side of boxing, the real top fight in the weight class is between David Benavidez and David Morrell. He believes both fighters have the potential to beat Canelo and pointed out the imbalance in the sport, where the biggest money fights don't always feature the best matchups. Malignaggi criticized the boxing world for this, calling it backwards that the most lucrative fights don't necessarily showcase the highest level of talent.
But the biggest problem is this: all the money is in Canelo Alvarez, but the best fight is probably Benavidez versus Morrell. You know what I mean? Like the best fight in terms of the top, who are actually the top two guys in this weight class are probably Benavidez and Morrell. I think they both beat Canelo. You know, so it's funny because all the money's with Canelo, so everything revolves around Canelo, and this is why this sport is backward.
Stephen Edwards praised David Morrell's strength and size, saying he's been impressed with the Cuban fighter. However, he pointed out that Morrell's size advantage at 168 pounds has allowed him to dominate smaller opponents, which has limited his ability to fully display his boxing IQ and other skills. Edwards believes that Morrell hasn't been tested enough to show his full range of abilities, especially when it comes to strategy and adaptability.
I'm very impressed with David Morrell, but he kind of relies on his forcefulness, his strength, his size. I mean, he's way too big to be fighting 68 pounds. I've been around. He's a big guy, you know. So I'm very, very impressed with him. But a lot of the guys he's been fighting are so much smaller than he is where he doesn't have to go into his bag of tricks and rely on other things like his IQ and things like that. And I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Elijah Vines expressed his belief that David Benavidez will dominate the upcoming fight against David Morrell, despite respecting both fighters' styles and personalities. Vines, who connects with Benavidez's boxer-puncher style, feels that Benavidez's experience and skill set will be too much for Morrell to overcome. While recognizing Morrell's talent, he's confident that Benavidez will stick to his game plan, using his strength and abilities to control the fight and emerge victorious.
I think Benavidez is I don't know, I always liked Benavidez. Always liked him. So I feel like
That's because you're a boxer puncher. You love boxer punches.
Absolutely, but I don't know. I can resonate with him. Like I like his style. You know, I like his personality. You know what I mean? I feel like that's going to be a good fight. But I feel like Benavidez is going to dominate.
Dominate?
Dominate, yeah. Some people might call me crazy because I had this conversation, but I don't know. I see a lot of stuff. I see a lot of things that Benavidez is going to be able to execute with a fighter like that.
Vines also mentioned that he doesn't think Benavidez will stop Morrell in their upcoming fight, but he expects Benavidez to dominate most of the rounds. While Morrell may have some success in certain moments, Vines believes Benavidez's overall strength and skill will ultimately shine. He predicts the fight will go the distance, with Benavidez securing a unanimous decision win.
I don't think he's going to stop him. I think he's going to dominate majority of the rounds. Not all the rounds, but I feel like he's going to dominate. But it's going to be by unanimous decision.
David Benavidez's sparring partner described him as a relentless fighter who consistently moves forward, applying pressure and throwing punches. He believes Benavidez can absorb hits and keep pushing forward, adding that on February 1st, everyone will see how unique Benavidez is. He referred to him as a monster and predicted Benavidez would knock Morrell out, likely before the 10th round. The sparring partner stressed that the knockout is certain.
David's a guy that comes forward, pressure, throw punches. He can take the punches, so I'm telling you, everyone will see on February 1st, David is different. He's just a monster.
What round? It sounds like you think he stops him.
Oh yeah, he's definitely, mark my words, David's gonna knock the out of Morrell. I think under 10 rounds. I don't know, but it's gonna happen. Inevitable.
So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.